ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om, my salutations to all. Requesting everyone to please switch off your videos. Welcome to the Surya Grahan Sadhana. We will begin with the chanting of the Gayatri Mantra. We will chant 3 times. Om Bhurbhuvassuvaha Om Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvassuvaha Om Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhurbhuvassuvaha Om Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. So Surya Grahan is a very beautiful astronomical event that happens. All of you know scientifically the moon comes between the sun and the earth, and at today's Surya Grahan is the moon is at the farthest end in its elliptical orbit, and so we will see a ring of fire. The moon will not be covering the sun fully. It is not a total solar eclipse. And you see, our great masters, astronomers, etc., they have known this very beautifully. And they have depicted it in 2 ways. So the Vedic reference to this Grahan is in a mystical way through story or through a characterization. So it's in the Rig Veda 5.40.5, 6 and 8. It is said, O sun, when Swarbhanu, the son of an Asura, struck you with darkness, O Indra, when you struck down the vials of Swarbhanu that existed below the heaven, Atri secured the sun, which had been concealed by darkness that deviated from the usual rule by means of the highest prayer. So now, this is the Vedic reference, and where this is explained through a dramatization that there was a son of an Asura, and then he tried to, swallow the sun, S-U-N. And how Indra's thunderbolt from the top and then Atri Rishi's prayers, they both help to release the sun. But we should not think that this is old, primitive superstition, etc. Because you see, the Veda has all types of depiction. Some are mystical, some are scientific explanation, some are poetic, some are symbolic, some are Vedantic. So there are different types of depiction which are given in the Veda also. And we know very clearly that, see, the astronomers like Varahamihira, in the first half of the 6th century, he remarks very clearly, in a lunar eclipse, the moon enters into the shadow of the earth, and in a solar eclipse, moon enters the sun, meaning moon comes between. That this cause of eclipse was found by the acharyas who had the divine insight, and that Rahu is not the cause. This is the true state that the Shastra declares. So astronomers also have said it very, very clearly that this is what happens scientifically. This is it's an event that happens because of the revolution, rotation of the moon, the earth, etc. But there is, see, science wise also one thing we have to know is it is just these three coming in one line. There is no extra radiation, there is no change in the gravity, there is no, tidal waves rising. None of those things happen. Because many times we try to give some of those reasons that, oh, this is why one should not eat food, or this is why one should not go out, etc. The Shastra never says don't go out in the sense how we understand. In fact, today when we are going to chant the Ganapati Atharva Shirsha, in the Ganapati Atharva Shirsha is very clearly said that one who stands in the river during solar eclipse and chants the Ganapati Atharva Shirsha, that person gets out of obstacles, that person has, Pratyavaya dosha is removed, that person becomes mantra siddha. The secrets of this Ganapati Atharva Shirsha will start revealing. So some of these things, maybe some traditions, customs, people have started following somehow. Physically, I mean to say, there is no impact of this eclipse on food or on water. Because if we think in that, more scientific way, the food and water, if really this is going to affect so much that we have to remove the food in our house and, stale food has to be removed, etc. And, no food must be cooked. Then what happens to the crops? What happens to the oceans? What happens to the rivers? Ultimately, that crop and that food, some point we are going to eat. That water at some point we are going to drink. And so the idea is to understand this from maybe a spiritual or a psychological effect on us. So I will come to that a little later. I just want to say a few points about what the Shastra says, because when we have been trying to do research on what the scriptures say, yes, there are restrictions given in some of these places, but the reasons are not mentioned why. And so I could figure out from Vedanta standpoint, which I will share in some time, but not from a physical standpoint. I still don't have any reasons. If anybody can properly give an authentic reference, then you can inform me on private chat or by email or whatever it is. Don't say that, this because the food becomes tamasic, or because there is some increase in radiation, or there's an increase in microbial activity, bacteria. None of that happens. At least science doesn't prove any of that. So I spoke to you about Varaha Mihira. Then there is another reference which is given here. Which is in Kala Vivek and Nirnaya Sindhu, where the author says, an eclipse of the moon is 100,000 times more meritorious, and an eclipse of the sun is 10 times more so than the eclipse of the moon. And if the waters of the Ganges are near, then a moon eclipse is 1 crore times, and a sun's eclipse is 10 times more so than the preceding. So these references very clearly say that if you are near the Gangaji, you are out, it is not prohibiting going outside. Now the tradition of taking bath has come because people have misunderstood this for quite a long time. See, scientific knowledge and prevalence may not be very clear to a lot of people. And there may be many people who have, and this has happened across the world in all the different cultures, when people have misunderstood that eclipse is some demon eating away the sun, etc. And it has been considered inauspicious. You can see Egyptian culture or Chinese culture, many of these cultures, there are these traditions because the scientific aspect of eclipse was not understood. So here it is said the tradition of taking bath is because you see the Rahu. So he says the first duty of a person on seeing an eclipse is to bathe. It is said on seeing Rahu, men of all varnas become impure. They should first bathe and then do their usual duties and should give up food already cooked. You see, where is this said? This is said in the Kala Vivek. So people have thought these things and then they want to take bath, etc., because they feel that it is inauspicious. And also the fact is that lunar eclipse they were seeing. So it's not that you cannot see. I'm quoting this to make it clear that when you see, solar eclipse is a challenge to see. One should not see it with plain eyes. One should not even see it with glasses, normal glasses. One needs the proper solar glasses by which one can see, and it's a great spectacle to see the solar eclipse. So seeing also is not prohibited. Going out is not prohibited. Why people take bath? Because some of them feel there is inauspicious, so one takes bath before. Now, interesting is that it is also said that during this time, some Shraddha Karma, etc. can be done. Sadhana should be done. Mantra Japa should be done. I'm coming to those reasons why. And so when these things are to be done, naturally one has to take bath before. So before one is taking bath, after one is taking bath. So these are the apparent reasons why bath was to be taken. And it is also to understand here that Diksha, for mantra japa, for Diksha, etc., this is a very, very good time. Now, two reasons we have to understand here. One reason is that from Vedanta standpoint, we understand that moon is the presiding deity of mind. And see, psychology has done enough research where this is being proved now that how the moon affects the mind. And that's why the asylums are called lunatic asylums also. And Gurudev used to say that after marriage, people go to celebrate honeymoon. They don't go to celebrate honey sun. So the thing is, he would say that the moon has an impact on the mind. And those days when the moon is closer to the earth, the tidal waves caused because of the gravitational pull, it has an impact on the mind. So the effect on the mind has been understood because of the moon. So mind is a seat of emotions, etc. And intellect is the seat of rational thoughts, decision making, all these aspects. Sun is the presiding deity of the buddhi. That's why we chant the Gayatri mantra. Now it is possible that the impact on the mind and the intellect, there are certain impacts which are there on the mind and the intellect. And for a common man, to ensure that the mind and intellect remains well coordinated, in this case, in solar eclipse, the moon comes between the sun and the earth. So if symbolically, Vedantically one wants to understand, then it is the emotions as though overwhelming the intellect. What happened to Arjun? When he completely collapsed in the middle of the battlefield, just before the Mahabharata war has to begin, emotions overwhelm. So that happens many times to the human beings where emotions will overwhelm. So sadhana is the best way to make the mind balanced, keep it equanimous, remember the Lord, anchor in the Supreme. And so what the tradition says, chant the Gayatri mantra, do the Ishta mantra japa. So in fact, it is said that, eclipse time is the best time for japa and for diksha, mantra initiation. And perfection in mantras, in the mantras peculiar to various deities. One should engage in japa and the like while an eclipse of the sun or the moon is in progress. This is also said in Nirnaya Sindhu. So japa should be done. That is the sadhana that one is prescribing. And especially for solar eclipse, I would say that because the sun is the deity of the buddhi, and to overcome obstacles, etc., is our buddhi has to be sharp, steady. So possibly in the Ganapati Atharva Shirsha, it is written that Surya Grahe Mahanadyam Pratima Sannidhau va Japtva Siddha Mantro Bhavati. So Buddhi, Ganapati Bhagwan is also called Buddhi Devata. So these sadhanas have been prescribed to ensure that our mind and intellect remain very steady. The pranas, the mind, the intellect, and the body, all of them can align very well. Instead of getting disturbed, instead of feeling that something terrible is happening, because these are things that are created. Even right now, there are so many people who have so much of fear that, oh my God, this 2020 year has been so bad, and now this year there are 3 eclipses. One lunar eclipse went, now today is a solar eclipse. One more has to come. We don't know what is going to happen. Yes, there may be consequences. Astrologically, they may say certain things. But human being has the capability to do Purusharth, and the Shastra has given us that. Today actually happens to be a very special day from astrology standpoint also, and from Vedanta standpoint also. You see what is said here. This is in Kal Nirnay from Smriti Samuchay, where he says, if a solar eclipse occurs on a Sunday and a lunar one on Monday, you see, Ravivar and Somvar, the day of the sun and the day of the moon. So if a solar eclipse occurs on a Sunday and a lunar one on Monday, such a conjunction was called Chudamani. And it was laid down that a Chudamani eclipse yields 1 crore of times as much merit as an eclipse on other weekdays. So best is do sadhana. There is no harm. If you don't want to eat food, don't eat food. Because one powerful impact of this not eating food is our prana and apana, our energy in the body will go upwards. It will become urdhvaretas. When we eat food, it will go down, which is a general benefit of fasting on any day, not just today. And also because the energies of the body are conserved. So for that reason, if you want to fast and if you want to do sadhana and keep the mind in the remembrance of the Lord, that is wonderful. But don't have any fear that what will happen if I eat food. Nothing will happen. That is up to you. What you want to do is up to you. Shastra may give certain things from physical standpoint, from spiritual standpoint. But the physical reasons are not given why one should not eat food. We have cooked up many reasons on our own, trying to justify that. Spiritual reasons are these possibilities, which I just discussed, that the prana shakti goes up. So the prana, the mind, the body, the intellect, all can get aligned beautifully in sadhana. And there is some punya phala also. That also the scripture says. Anyway, when we remember the name of the Lord, there is punya phala. And if you see the Shastra, it also says very clearly that the Grahan Kal is Punya Kal. It is not inauspicious. It is Punya Kal. It is a beautiful time. It's a great celestial event happening out there, and one can turn within also at such time. So you see a grandness out there, and you can see the glory of the self within, the glory of the Lord within also. So best thing is do it out of understanding and do it out of sadhana. Don't have the bhoga vritti. That is something which should not be encouraged. If the Shastra says do upvas and do sadhana, we should do that because it only helps us to evolve. If we just want to revolt, saying, this is all primitive knowledge, we want to dismiss all this, I will eat, drink, do whatever I want, I will watch movie, I will sleep. I mean, you can do that if you want to, but that doesn't help in any way to evolve. And as I said earlier, don't do it out of fear, do it out of understanding. And that is what we are trying to do here, the Surya Grahan Sadhana, where we try to lift ourselves, and collectively when we do this together, it helps the whole energy of the totality also we are able to contribute and lift up. And at such times when there are more difficulties and challenges that already the world is going through, we should contribute our best, and prayers have a great impact. So together we are going to do this sadhana. So in today's sadhana, there are three parts. One part is where we will do satsang on Tulsi Ramayan. So from now till 11:30 we will be doing that. I have chosen a particular portion that we will do. If we are able to complete it, great. Otherwise, we will be continuing that next Sunday also. And in 2 sessions, we will complete this portion which we have chosen. Second part is from 11:30 to 12:30. You are free to do any Ishta Mantra Japa, Gayatri Mantra Japa that you like to do. If you want to do, that is up to you. And 12:30 to 1:30 is where we are going to again log in. Same link you will use to log in again, and we will be chanting the Ganapati Atharva Shirsha Upanishad for an hour, dedicating it to the well-being of all of us. This whole satsang, this entire three and a half hours, we dedicate this to the individual well-being, the well-being of the family, well-being of the entire world, and specifically our army soldiers who are fighting at the borders, who are going through a tough time, and all the frontline workers who are serving in the COVID pandemic. So we will pray for the well-being of